Yes, I am that person between you and lunch. So let's make this extremely entertaining because after all, we are in the business of storytelling. So we'll just talk about some stories and some fun ways of building brands in entertainment. Okay. So yeah, I'm here to tell you guys about the extraordinary brand story of Z. Um, so since we are in the business of selling emotion, let me talk to you about the brand. Yeah. This is a brand which I personally think is an outstanding. Okay, he's actually ringing the bell saying this is lunchtime and you need to get out. Um, so this is a brand of entertainment or content which I personally think is really, really well done, and it's let me not call it survived. It's thrived multiple generations, multiple eras, and multiple bonds. So what's really cool about this brand? You know, it's Bond. It's just beyond the logo. It's just beyond the name James Bond. It has multiple dimension. You know Bond by his costumes, you know Bond by his gadgets, and you know Bond by the rituals that he does. There'll always be the opening sequence where he saves the world. There'll always be the martini moment, and there'll always be a Bond girl. And I'm hoping the next Bond will be a girl. So that's really what Bonds do. And taking off from there and saying, so how does one build brands in entertainment? Yeah, I'm taking a slightly linear, lateral one. When you go to a bookstore, what do you look for? When you're trying to pick up a book, what do you look for? Anybody? Yeah. Yeah. The author? Yes. Anything else? Yeah, the genre. Yeah, absolutely. So most people pick the book by the front is really the ad for the book, right? That's like the ad that you put out saying "Buy me." It's the most impactful visual ad. That's the front of the book. But really, the author. When you're picking multiple books, that is not the very first book that you're picking. You love an Amitav Ghosh, you're likely to navigate towards an Amitav Ghosh. You love a character, you're likely to pick a lot of books in and around that character, or the most universal thing, the trope. You navigate towards, let's say, underdog to victory. That kind of really appeals to you. You move towards that, or a topic that's something that resonates with you. So those are the three things that you really do to pick a book. Yeah, and of course, there's the larger publishing house, and there are very few people who kind of pick and saying Penguin gives me great books, or Harvard publishes great stuff, and hence let me pick books from there. So using the same principles, this is how we built the master brand Z and how people kind of navigate through their choices. So there at the top of the pyramid is the Z master brand. You said we first need to be clear on why people should be coming to the Z master brand. We just don't want to tell them what we do, that is channels that we give you, that's entertainment that we bring to you every night, but why we exist is Z the master brand. Then come the next lot, which is the SBU or the publisher brands in that sense, which is Z the TV business, Z the music business, or Z the studios business which makes movies, or then Z5 the digital business which puts out digital content, OTT content. And within these publishing brands, we have channel brands, and then under them we have the content brands, which is usually the shows, the characters, etc. So broadly, for an end consumer, they are seeing this across multiple platforms. How do you build one coherent story? And that's the story that I'm here to talk to you about today. So it all started with our why, and we said, let's first define why we exist. We exist to give people an extraordinary time. Yeah, that's really the true north for us, and that's what we look at and saying, if we need to give people an extraordinary time, how do we do that in the creative process? That's where the extraordinary together comes from, and we are a brand that propagates in the need scope. For those of you who are aware of the need scope, the orange togetherness space, because we are about large families, communities, and how do we be extraordinary together is the why we exist. So we took the why into multiple brand expressions, and I'll watch the video and then we'll talk about it. Yeah. So broadly, 3 big pillars as you're looking at the video. How does a brand exist? We said it's much beyond the logo. So the whole brand promise is built upon the visual design, the motion design, and sonic design. I'm sure when you're watching it, you never kind of decipher it in these little buckets, but it takes a lot of pulling it together to say there is a coherent visual design across the brand architecture. There's a coherent motion design, and I'm going to talk to you about it a little bit. People think of UI, UX in digital, but TV is the biggest UI, UX. People stay there for 4 hours minimum, and it takes energy and effort to make them stay. So we'll talk about that motion design a bit, and of course sonic design, because we are an audio-visual medium. So here's a little video to take you through the journey. Brands are like nests. You don't get to tell people this is what I want you to think of you. They pick up little pieces like birds do from different places and put the nest together. So we better be very, very mindful about how these different pieces are coming together. So if you've seen there is the whole world of the visual, the whole world of motion, which is the energy and how does that percolates everywhere. And then there's, of course, the sound part of it, which you've seen, and how it goes across different channels. I think the interesting thing about this category, which is entertainment and content, unlike the previous categories that I've worked on, the FMCGs and others, is where there you can tell people, here's a problem, here's how I come and solve it for you as a brand, aha moment. But you can't do that in entertainment because people are not looking for that aha moment or a solution. People are wanting to be entertained, and there's multiple levels of connect that you need to make, and most important connect is the connect with the heart. And you're not going to make that by telling a linear head story. You need to communicate at semiotic levels and at a very deep sound and motion level, and that's really the brand theory, if I may say so, in entertainment. So moving on, the 3 big pillars for a content brand or the larger entertainment brand is actually the channel UI. Most people, I don't know if any of you notice the UI, it's the whole design and packaging around the channel. It actually is what makes you stay on the channel. A concept of UI, people usually think of it in digital. But think of how you stay saying, okay, just back in 2 minutes makes you stay on the channel versus stepping out. Or back in a minute makes you stay, or go out during the ad break and come back. or now, next, laters. These kind of navigate you through your time session. So TV is one of the longest sessions that happen. People don't dip in and dip out, but they do the session length because the UI is designed that way to keep you. When a show is ending, it says, Aage dekhiye. When a show is kind of in the middle, when it's starting, it'll give you a quick recap of what it was. So there's a very carefully crafted UI at place, and only brands which kind of understand that flow keep the time spent of the viewer. The next very big thing, of course, is your product, or in this case, the content brands. How do products play out here? Of course, the shows and building those shows as brands or events, or in the case of movie channels, the slots. And we'll see a bit of that. And last and the most important, the faces, the characters, which, this pretty much celebrities endorsing my brand, ZTV, every night. It's these iconic characters that people bond with every night. And what are they saying? What are they doing? What are they talking? Really, really matters, because I can promise whatever I want. But if the character or the hero of that movie is not delivering that promise, it ain't delivering. So let's quickly look at, So the channel UI. So what we did at Z is, you've seen the larger master brand, which is the Z, the circle. So if you see across our channels, the UI ends with a logo resolve where all channels end at the center and everything else kind of germinates from there. And we've taken this into the, if I were to look at the GECs, there is a radiance of orange, etc. that goes forward. Or when you take it into cultural, regional markets, you take the cultural nuances. For example, Z Punjabi, which you've just launched, and it's #1 shoring, touchwood. You take the local flavor of the fulkari, the design and everything, which kind of goes into the channel UI. Take a look. So if you see that tomorrow, you basically tuning people to not just come today and come back in the next slot, you're also tuning them to come back tomorrow. So just again, digital words, which then will connect a lot more. Organic footfall for us is 80%. I don't have to every day do performance marketing to pull people. So it's people who come on to the TV channels through the UI design. We kind of ensure that they come back the next day to the next slot, the guys who come in the morning, coming back in the evening, or the guys who are coming in the evening who might have missed something to come back in the morning. So that UI really, really is super critical. Then the whole characters bit. Sorry, that was a miss. I think the characters are up later. This is what I was talking about, the GEC cluster and the look feel. So you take the same energy design and that goes into different channels and cultures a little differently. It's the same radiance that you see, but in the Punjabi cultural world. So at the end, when a consumer is thinking of Z, any consumer of Z is going to experience Z under multiple forms, right? They're going to see you, or I'm going to see Z in my own mother tongue. If I'm a Punjabi, I'm going to see it in Punjabi. I'm going to see it in Hindi, and I'm going to see it in English. So there needs to be a coherence across all three, and that's what we achieve through the channel UI design, which then ensures that the brand design identity stays the same, and you're adding with every little experience rather than them getting a disjoint set. Yeah. So that's about the channel UI. Now moving on to the content brands, what really are the product brands for us? It's the shows. I think most of the time, this is what gets talked about, right? That you've always heard the myth saying, "Arey, log to show dekhte hain. They don't care for the channel." But surprise, surprise, people actually are creatures of habit. They come to a destination. They don't, if for all the thing on deals in the e-commerce category, people have destinations. People are either Amazon people or people are Flipkart people, because you've built a certain comfort of a destination over a period of time and people want to keep going back. And that's your product and benefit delivery within that destination that really lets you be on the destination. So how are you building the product brands that deliver the destination promise is really, so for example, the non-fiction shows or the award shows that come in, or in the case of movies, the slots, right? Because movies are there on different channels, but how do you curate the movies together so that it connects with your TG? So that's really the second big part of an entertainment brand building. So I'm going to focus on the design bit here rather than all the other elements. So just take a look at the award function design again. So we are a world of circles, as you can see, and the radiance that happens, and it doesn't matter which form of the brand that I'm experiencing. Am I experiencing it at a channel destination? Am I experiencing it at a show level? Or am I experiencing it at a movie slot level? It's a bit like how you experience Apple, right? They will be white, they will be smooth edges, and they will be amazingly intuitive human UI. And that's what we're really trying to do with TV, that they will be the circular world. They will be a burst of energy that you want to feel, and semiotically, that burst of energy might be a radiance in one place, gold dust for Punjabi, it could be for romance, flowers exploding. But you are semiotically reminding them of that emotion every single time they experience your brand. So that's really the taking the same principles into the content brands. I think the other thing which I want you to notice is the culture, okay? And culture for different target groups is different, right? So when I'm talking to a Bollywood maniac, the cultural symbols of that, if you saw the Hero Panti or if you saw the action ones, you're actually using the symbology which is very for a Bollywood maniac kind of a thing. So let's move forward to the characters next. And these guys really are the faces of it. And how do you bring about, yes, of course, they're delivering day in and day out in the shows, but sometimes when you put a label and saying, think of me this way, and here's who I am, and then, you start looking at the person. If I say, ooh, Prathyusha is funny, I might not be, but when you repeatedly say Prathyusha is funny, something that you say might turn out to be funny, versus if you say Prathyusha is thoughtful, then, you've kind of prepped a person to say, think of this person this way, and that's what we really do with building the character brands. So here's a So characters in the case of GEC and heroes in the case of movies. So that's the latest channel that's launched for Bhojpuri, and it's again #1 within, it opened #1. If you see how that's being built, obviously the most done thing in the movie category is just focus on, oh, I have so many premieres, this is the slate, which everybody does. But you build a bond when you kind of look at it and saying, this is the destination of these kind of heroes and they stand for a certain value. So that's really what movie character building is. But the most important thing, how many of you know this dialogue? Okay, Jerry Maguire. Since, okay, so this is the most iconic dialogue from Jerry Maguire, where she says, you had me at hello. And all of us will know dialogues like that for Rahul, Naam To Suna Hoga, kind of a thing, which then go on to becoming iconic and people connect with you in that dialogue. That brings me to the last part, which is really about the culture through which you connect and the language through which you connect with your people. So, quoting Nelson Mandela, if you talk to a man in the language he knows, it goes to his head. You talk to them in a language they understand, it goes to the heart. But we believe at ZEEL that you talk to a woman in her boli or talk to a man in his boli, it goes straight to his soul. So we really obsess. So what I've shown you is the larger brand building on those 3 pillars. But the most important thing, I think, like how Sunil said in the morning, deeper connect with the consumers and how are you engaging really with the consumer for us is culture. So what we really focus on is what we call getting the viewer's soul to screen. It's not enough to just say, okay, I'm going to tell you a story and the standard trope, but really the same trope when said in a Kerala is very different from the trope said in Bengal, is very different from when it is told in Maharashtra. Are you getting the cultural soul? Yeah, and people are very different, and especially in India, and the boli that people relate to, you know, how many of you are from Mumbai? Okay, a lot, yeah. When somebody dies in Mumbai, what do we say? Off ho gaya. We machine hai kya? Off ho gaya, because that's the mindset with which Mumbaikars work. People are resources and wo off ho jate hain. But if you went to a UP, jab thoda tehzeeb hai, wo guzar gaye, you have a sense of, oh, that person has moved over. That tells you about the mindset of a place. For example, if I went to MP, they'd say, wo shant ho gaye. Bechare bade pareshan the life se, but baad mein shant ho gaye. So this boli is not just about dialogue bazi, but it kind of gives you deep levels of what are the values and belief systems that people hold. And also, when you talk to the person in that boli, you tend to connect much, much more evocatively. So that's really what we obsess about when building an entertainment brand. So that really is what gets us to being the #1 network. And I think the #1 network, not just at an aggregate India level, but winning in each Bharat, understanding the soul of each Bharat, and then kind of not just, you know, telling stories, but bringing the stories of that land and that soul of that land to screen is what we really, really focus on. And just when you thought culture is all about region, language, boli is the dialects of India, how do you connect with today's youth is what I want to show you. So it's really about knowing your viewers' boli. This is Happy Diwali to a millennial for whom if I said Ram Ji, Jai Shri Ram Ji, ki samajh mein nahi aata. I have to do a mic drop with Ram there. And that's how you connect. So channel UI, building content brands, characters, and finally the most critical, get the cultural soul and boli of your viewers. And that's what makes an entertainment brand. And most critically, a brand is not a promise. A brand is not just a promise. A great brand is that promise kept. And I think that's what we try every minute, every day, because we're trying to keep that promise 24/7. And that's possibly why people spend 3 to 4 hours with us, is because their time is well spent and they do have an extraordinary time with Zee. Thank you.